Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. You know the drill here. We take the sources you send, we dig in, and try to pull out what really matters. Today, we're tackling something you've probably seen online, maybe even wondered about yourself. It's called the Gen Z stare. Definitely seems to be a signature thing for that generation.
Yeah, and our source material today is excerpts from the Gen Z stare, a cultural phenomenon explained. This should really help us unpack, what it actually is and maybe why it's become such a big deal, especially now in 2025. So get ready. We're hoping to shed some light on this, well, pretty modern way of communicating. Okay, so let's dive right in. The Gen Z stare, it's
Mhm.
definitely out there. For those of us who might have seen it but haven't really put a name to it, what exactly is the Gen Z stare?
Right. Okay. So the Gen Z stare, essentially, it's this specific look. It's often quite blank or maybe deliberately detached. It's really become a kind of hallmark for Gen Z. Think of it as a nonverbal cue. Usually it involves a very direct, often unblinking gaze, but without showing obvious emotion. Okay. Unblinking, not much emotion. Where did it actually come from?
Well, culturally, it really emerged from online spaces, the very visual, almost performative environments like TikTok, Instagram, places where, let's be honest, everyone's kind of on stage all the time.
Ah, okay. So it started online.
Yeah, and it sort of grew into this recognizable trend, almost like a subtle, understated comment, or maybe a way to disengage, a quick visual shorthand, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. So if we've got a handle on what it is, the next big question has to be why? Why this specific expression? What's making the Gen Z stare just explode in popularity right now, like really taking off in 2025?
Well, a big part of it is its versatility. It
Yeah.
works incredibly well as a silent reaction. It's just perfectly suited for that fast-paced visual language you see everywhere on social media.
Right, like on TikTok.
Exactly. Think about it, just one look, that steady stare, it can capture that whole "are you kidding me" feeling instantly. Or, that subtle irony when someone's posting about something completely absurd.
Yeah, I can picture that.
And it resonates because it can pack in so many different feelings, right? Like it could be simple disinterest or sharp irony or even something deeper, that sort of existential tiredness, almost a what's the point vibe, all without saying a word.
So it's efficient communication in a way.
Very efficient. And on platforms like TikTok, you see it everywhere. Those reaction videos where the creator just looks at the camera,
Uh-huh.
their face says everything. Or maybe in skits where the stare itself is the punchline, like reacting to some ridiculous influencer trend.
Okay, so it's easy to copy, easy to share.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Which means it just spreads like wildfire online. It taps into so many relatable, very modern moments.
That makes a lot of sense for the online sphere.
Hmm.
But, is it always that straightforward? Can it be misinterpreted? Like, beyond just being a quick reaction, what deeper meanings might be hiding in there? Or what meanings are people reading into it?
Yeah, that's a really important point. It definitely functions as a potent bit of nonverbal communication. Often it's signaling, a deliberate kind of detachment or maybe an understated critique of something.
A critique. How so?
Well, it could imply a rejection of, say, over-the-top emotional displays, or it might be a quiet response to something absurd. Sometimes even a subtle defiance, like pushing back against the constant pressure to react or be engaged online.
Interesting.
And this is where it really connects to how Gen Z approaches cultural commentary, I think. They often seem to lean towards irony, towards more understated reactions, rather than making big, explicit statements.
Leaving room for interpretation.
Exactly. It leaves things ambiguous.
Yeah.
It's like saying, okay, I see this absurdity, I acknowledge it, maybe I find it funny, maybe I'm skeptical, but I don't need to shout about it.
It's quite nuanced, that.
Very nuanced, almost like a kind of passive-aggressive digital body language in some contexts. It definitely forces you to think more about how you're reading social cues. And what's really fascinating here is how this specific look, this stare, it ties so neatly into Gen Z's broader digital habits and their overall communication style.
How do you mean?
It just reflects a generation that's incredibly fluent in visual shorthand. They communicate so much through subtle expressions, memes, reaction images online. It's all part of this bigger shift, moving maybe away from purely text-based interaction towards more visual ways of expressing things.
Right, where a glance or even a filter choice can carry a lot of weight.
Precisely. They're speaking a language of quick, impactful visuals and expressions, a language many others are still learning, perhaps.
Okay, that's clear for the online world. But what happens when this very digital communication style moves offline? into face-to-face situations. Our sources mentioned something about related etiquette issues popping up in Google Trends. What kind of issues are we talking about there, and why does it matter?
Ah, yes, that's definitely where things can get tricky. You see spikes in Google searches for things like, is the Gen Z stare rude? Or Gen Z stare disrespectful?
Really?
Yeah, because it often causes misunderstandings in real-world face-to-face contexts. Online, it might be understood as irony or just boredom or that critique we talked about. But imagine seeing that stare in a job interview
Ooh, yeah. Yeah, not good.
or during a regular conversation or maybe from someone in customer service. It can easily be misinterpreted.
As what?
Well, to people perhaps from older generations or just those unfamiliar with the online nuance, that detached look can come across as plain rudeness or boredom, disrespect, maybe even complete disengagement from the conversation.
So a real clash of communication styles.
Exactly. These etiquette issues really stem from that friction between established online norms and more traditional offline social cues. It really highlights the need for awareness. Context is absolutely everything, and this digital behavior doesn't always translate well offline.
It's a reminder that not everyone's speaking the same nonverbal language.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered quite a bit today. We've sort of defined the Gen Z stare, looked at why it's gone so viral, especially on platforms like TikTok. We dug into some of the deeper meanings, how it works as cultural commentary. And then we brought it back to the real world, thinking about communication styles and those etiquette challenges.
Yeah, and if you connect it all to the bigger picture, the whole Gen Z stare phenomenon really underscores something important. It shows just how incredibly fast nonverbal cues can evolve and then spread and become these widespread cultural statements, especially in our digital age.
Demanding new levels of understanding.
Exactly, demanding that we all perhaps pay a bit more attention. It shows the power of subtle expressions to carry complex ideas, even if those ideas get lost in translation across generations or contexts.
So maybe the next time you encounter a Gen Z stare, pause for a second. Consider not just the look itself, but what it might be silently communicating about. Well, everything we've talked about, digital interaction, generational expression, this whole evolving landscape. Ask yourself, what did that silent statement say to you about our changing world? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today.